As a podcaster, there are many different ways you can work with advertisers, but you are going to make the most money through something called direct sales. That means either you or someone representing you, such as your podcast network or an external sales team, is working directly with a brand or the brand's ad agency. It is a deal basically between you two, and usually there are contracts involved, something you have to sign and agreed upon the terms. You can get these kind of deals in different ways. Brands or their ad agencies can reach out to you directly. A media buyer can broker a deal for you. Media buyers typically work with the brands to find advertising options like your podcast for whatever it is the brand is trying to promote. If your show is larger, you may be getting these deals through your podcast network, or perhaps you're represented by an external sales team that specializes in podcast ads. Regardless of how you and the brand found each other, the important thing is you found each other, and hopefully an advertising deal can be made. We call this an order. If you are selling for your own podcast, I recommend you have an order template that you can give the brand, something you both sign that outlines what the order is going to entail. Here is an example of an order that we use with advertisers at Independent Podcast Network. So, this is an example of a campaign order that I've used in the past. The purpose of the order is just to provide an overview so both you and the advertiser know what is included, when things are going to run, and how much things are going to cost, as well as any possible cancellation. All right, so let's start up here. You list your podcast up here, your advertiser, the date the whole thing was created, and then whatever is included in the campaign would go here. In this particular example, we've got a 60-second ad. We've promised them 100,000 impressions. These are the dates that the campaign would run for dynamic ad insertion, and this is the cost. And now, once you sign this, then you just have to make sure you deliver on 100,000 impressions. You could also make the campaign for a certain amount, like a CPM, and not necessarily give a cost here. Just say, it's a $40 CPM, and we'll figure out the cost at the end of the campaign. But in this particular campaign, this was more of a bundle. So they purchased a guest appearance on a podcast episode, a blog post, as well as a social media post. Okay, so I put the costs here, and then here's the total. And then here's some additional information you may want to include. Are they going to send you a sample? So you can test it out and use all that information when you write your ad. Are they going to send you bullet points or some sort of one sheet with additional information that they want you to use? What is the promo code? So if they are using any kind of direct links or promo codes to track how well the campaign did, you can put that in here just so everyone's on the same page. Are the ads going to be refreshed? Yes. So each month, let's say this is a 3-month campaign, I think. Yep, 3 months. So each month, this says that we're going to create a new ad, a new dynamic ad. We're just going to swap out the ads. Are you going to promote the advertiser, have some sort of link or something on your website? The answer is yes. So you can obviously change your responses to this. You don't necessarily have to have this, but these are some common things that advertisers may want. And then over here are the payment terms. So I think it's important to spell out when and how payment is going to happen. And that's all this does. It provides an address if they want to mail in their payments. It explains that we're going to invoice at the start of each month, and that if they need to cancel, they need to do that within 30 days. Actually, the 30 days is down here. And then I think the podcaster should sign it as well as the company. So you guys are both agreeing that you're on the same page. And that's a campaign order. If you'd like to use this as a template and modify it, of course, for your own purposes, I'll include a link in the description for you. I recommend setting up the ad campaign through your podcast host provider right after the ad order has been signed. If you do this through Megaphone, our preferred podcast host provider, the campaign will also show up in your inventory so you don't overbook your podcast. Next, You will need to gather any information you need for the campaign. If you're working with a network or a brand with an ad agency, they will typically provide this information for you. But just in case you're working directly with a brand, you'll need for them to provide some bullet points or information they want included in their ad. Sometimes you can find this information on their website, but it's always a good idea to ask them to send you specific information. And that includes a CTA or call to action. In other words, what do they want the listener to do after hearing the ad? Many times, the advertiser will give you a specific promo code, a link, or perhaps even both that you have to promote. Sometimes they have exact wording that they want you to read. And if that's the case, they'll probably say something like, read this verbatim. If you see that, make sure you do that. Once you've recorded your ad, I recommend you send it to the advertiser in advance for their review. This is one of the many benefits of using dynamic ad insertion. You don't want to unintentionally say something that is off brand or harmful to the advertiser, which could hurt your relationship. This is something we do for all ad campaigns at Independent Podcast Network, and I know the advertisers we work with really appreciate it. Once the ad is approved, it can be added to your campaign created through your podcast host provider, and you're good to go. I do recommend checking in on campaigns at least once a week to make sure you're reaching your downloads or impressions that were promised to the advertiser. For more information about how we here at Independent Podcast Network can help you find more direct sales advertisers for your podcast, visit the link in the description.